You have been an outstanding group this evening, and the last thing that you want to do is hear somebody speak a long time. So I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do, Senora Morales, she was talking about something that Dr. King would be very supportive of. She was talking about making sure that individuals, whether they are man, woman, or child, that they would have equal access under the law for equal rights and privileges and responsibilities of our democratic society. Senora Morales was talking about immigration. And you should know that the healthcare debate, you have listened to and watched the healthcare debate and how contentious that debate has been. You have not seen anything yet until they start to debate the immigration issue. You probably will have the right wing to come out and be against immigration. It's amazing what people do and what people say about other people. So get ready, folks. Make sure you have your talking points. Make sure you have your messages right so that you can share with the community the thing that needs to be done as it relates to immigration. One thing that you probably haven't heard of, there are thousands of young people, immigrants, that pass through the education system every year. Thousands of them. Many of them are valedictorians. Many of them are honor students. But you know what? After they finish high school, then it is practically impossible for them to be able to go to college because of their status in this country. There is a piece of legislation, and it's called the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act would make it possible for young people who have been over in this country for at least 5 years, who have completed their education, who will be good, productive citizens of society. It allows those individuals to be able to receive aid to go to college. You see, I didn't know about the DREAM Act. And a couple, 3 years ago, our organization sponsored a reception. And I walked into the reception, and lo and behold, you should have seen the students that were there. Students of all diversity backgrounds who were there lobbying members of Congress to pass something that would allow them to receive aid and assistance in order to be able to go to college. Dr. King would have definitely advocated for every child, not just some, but for every child to have access to quality public education. That's all of these students. That's all they were asking for. Yet, members of Congress have yet to pass that bill. Now, if in fact these students were doing something bad, were doing something wrong, what would happen? You would see it all in the newspaper. But these kids are trying to make something of themselves by going to college. And somebody has the audacity to say, well, we're not going to pass that law to allow that. One thing can make it happen, folks, and that's you. You make sure that you get out and you talk to them. You advocate for these kids. Because if it's not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Think about it, folks. Think about all this stuff that's going on. Dr. King is probably rolling over in his grave when he sees all of this bipartisan hassle that's going on. You heard me mention about the health care debates. Well, many people think that what is going on is just an accident. No, it is not an accident. It is a well thought out strategy, and the strategy is to make the Democrats and the Obama administration fail. Because once they fail, or if in fact the people see that they are not living up to their word, then they will have the chance to take over some of these seats that they lost in 2008. Folks, that's what it's about. 2010 and 2012 in terms of who is going to sit in the position of power. The power to make the decision that impacts us. We have a man that's here tonight. I'm told that he is chair of the education committee. You know what? You could not have a better friend than the chair of the education committee. Dr. King was a well-educated man. He thought about what happened to Frederick Douglass. You see, Frederick Douglass was a slave, and he was unfit to be a slave. And to the slave masters, the greatest threat was allowing slaves the ability to read. Rebellions they could control, but having slaves having the ability to read, that meant that would render them unfit to be a slave. Dr. King advocated tirelessly for public education. And you know what? Like Brother Shields said, it's a dirty shame. A dirty, dirty shame that the city and the county has not seen fit to recognize Dr. King's death. But you know what? You know who can change that? You can. I was over in Chile. I was in Chile in May. And they had some very negative pieces of legislation that was impacting education. And you know who took to the streets to make a change in what was going on in that country? It was the students. And I'm not advocating that you students do some of the things that they did. Because what they did, they took me to some schools, and these students had just they had bombarded themselves, locked themselves in the school, had thrown chairs, anything that they could to prevent the authorities from coming in to get them. These students, the students took action. In many instances when the adults didn't have the courage to do so. And that's the reason why you kids who saw, who believed that there should be some recognition, some formal recognition of Dr. King's death, you took it among yourselves to